Chapter 1. The first leader you must conquer is yourself. It doesn't matter how many books you read. It doesn't matter how many courses you take. It doesn't matter how many times you listen to people talk about success, discipline, or leadership. If there is one person you still cannot lead, none of those tools will ever be enough, and that person is you. We often believe that leadership is about influencing others. We imagine a leader as someone who runs a company, inspires thousands of people, or makes important decisions for a large team. But that image represents only a small part of what leadership truly means. Leadership begins long before anyone chooses to follow you. It begins the moment you decide to stop being a spectator in your own life. There is a profound difference between living by habit and living with intention. Many people wake up at the same time every morning, follow the exact same routine, face the same problems, and end the day feeling as though nothing has changed. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they don't have dreams, simply because they have allowed their habits to make their decisions for them. Over time, that routine becomes an invisible prison, and the most dangerous part is that it no longer feels like a prison. It starts to feel normal. We become so accustomed to repeating the same thoughts that we forget there is another way to live. We become so used to postponing our goals that we eventually convince ourselves they were never truly important. We become so comfortable justifying our decisions that we stop questioning them altogether. And little by little, we surrender control of our own lives. Now imagine a ship's captain in the middle of the ocean. He cannot control the wind. He cannot stop a storm. He cannot decide where the waves will carry the ship, but he can choose something that completely changes the outcome of the journey. He can steer the wheel. He can adjust the sails. He can change the course. That is exactly what a true leader does. A leader doesn't waste time trying to control what lies beyond their reach. Instead, they devote all of their energy to what they can actually change. Yet most people do exactly the opposite. They worry about other people's opinions, about circumstances, about the economy, about luck, about the past, and they spend very little time developing the one part of the equation that truly has the power to change everything: their character. Because character does not appear when everything is going well. It reveals itself when life becomes difficult. It is easy to remain positive when everything unfolds exactly as you hoped. It is easy to be kind when everyone agrees with you. It is easy to talk about discipline when motivation is high. But true leadership appears when all of those comforts disappear. When no one applauds you, when your effort has not yet produced results, when you feel like giving up. That is where the real test begins. There is an idea that has guided great leaders for generations. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. And that response ultimately defines who you become. Two people can face the exact same challenge. One chooses to give up, the other chooses to learn. One finds an excuse, the other finds a solution. One waits for someone else to change their circumstances. The other begins by changing themselves. The difference was never the challenge itself. It was the way they chose to face it. Many people believe leadership is about having all the answers, but great leaders understand that they must first learn to ask better questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this experience?" Instead of saying, "I'm not capable," they ask, "What skill do I need to develop to accomplish this?" That small shift completely changes the direction of the mind, because better questions force the brain to search for better answers, and better answers produce better actions. Over time, those actions create an entirely different life. The problem is that most people wait until they feel ready before taking action. They wait for the perfect moment. More time, more money, more experience, more confidence. But history tells a very different story. The people we admire rarely began feeling prepared. They began with fear, with uncertainty, making mistakes, learning as they went. They understood something that very few people ever truly realize. Confidence does not come before action. Confidence comes after taking action over and over again. Every small victory strengthens your character. Every obstacle you overcome builds your confidence. Every challenge you face proves that you are stronger than you once believed. That is why leadership never begins with a crowd. It begins the moment you keep a promise that only you know about. Getting out of bed when no one forces you to. Finishing what you started. Doing the right thing, even when nobody is watching. Those moments may seem insignificant, but they are precisely the moments that shape the person you are becoming. A tree does not grow overnight. First, it develops deep roots. For a long time, nothing appears to change. From the outside, it seems as though nothing is happening. Yet beneath the surface, the foundation is quietly being built. The foundation that will support everything else. Human beings are no different. Before success becomes visible, character must grow. Before results appear, habits must change. Before others can trust you, you must first learn to trust your own decisions. That is why so many people fail when a great opportunity finally arrives. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they have not yet developed the character necessary to sustain what they have always wanted. Leadership has never been only about reaching the top. It is about becoming the kind of person who can remain there without compromising their values. And that process begins with small decisions that almost no one sees. The way you speak to yourself. The discipline with which you manage your time. The way you respond when life doesn't go as planned. The honesty with which you acknowledge your mistakes. Every one of those actions is shaping the leader you will become tomorrow. The question is, what kind of leader are you building today? Because the person you will become 5 years from now will not be determined only by the opportunities that come your way. It will be shaped, above all else, by the quiet decisions you make when no one is watching. And you will soon discover that those decisions have a constant enemy, one that appears every single day, one that speaks with a convincing voice, one that always urges you to wait just a little longer. In the next chapter, you will meet that enemy, and you will understand why discipline will always outlast motivation. Chapter 2. The discipline that shapes great leaders. There is a phrase you've probably heard countless times. You just need to find the motivation. It sounds good. It sounds inspiring, but it can also become one of the most dangerous beliefs for anyone who truly wants to change their life, because motivation is an emotion, and like every emotion, it comes and it goes. There are days when you wake up overflowing with energy. You feel as though you can accomplish anything. You work with passion. Everything seems possible. But there are also very different days when exhaustion feels heavier than determination, when doubt fills every corner of your mind, when every excuse seems convincing enough to abandon what yesterday felt so important. The question is unavoidable. What happens when motivation disappears? Most people stop. Great leaders do the exact opposite. They continue. And that single difference has the power to change the course of a life. Think for a moment about an athlete who spends years preparing for the Olympic Games. Do you believe they wake up every morning eager to train? Of course not. They feel exhausted. They face personal challenges. They experience disappointment. They struggle with frustration. The difference is that they have discovered a truth that transforms every journey of personal growth. You don't train only when you feel inspired. You train because you have decided to become someone who honors their commitments. That is where discipline begins. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to suffer. It is about acting according to your values, even when your emotions urge you to do the opposite. We live in a world that constantly teaches us to chase instant gratification. We want immediate results, instant change, instant success. If something takes too long, we assume it isn't working. Yet nature has never followed that rhythm. No tree grows in a single week. No mountain rises overnight. No river carves its path in one afternoon. Everything built to last requires time. Character does, discipline does, leadership does. There is a mistake many people make without even realizing it. They confuse intensity with consistency. They work with incredible energy for 3 days, then they stop for a week. Afterward, they begin again, repeating the same cycle over and over without realizing that moving forward a little every single day produces far greater results than running at full speed for a brief moment before quitting entirely. Great. Leaders understand the extraordinary power of small, repeated actions, reading a few pages every evening, keeping the promises you make to yourself, arriving on time, listening before speaking, finishing what you begin. None of these actions appear remarkable on their own, yet once they become part of your identity, they completely transform the person you become. Here lies another important difference. Most people wait until they feel ready. Leaders begin before they, not because they are fearless, but because they understand that fear never truly disappears. They simply learn to walk beside it. Every time you postpone an important decision, your mind learns that avoiding discomfort is an acceptable response. But every time you move forward despite uncertainty, the opposite happens. Your mind begins to understand that you are capable of facing difficult situations, and that confidence does not come from repeating positive affirmations in front of a mirror. It comes from experience, from keeping small promises to yourself again and again, because confidence cannot be bought, it must be built. Imagine a bridge suspended over a vast canyon. One trusts it simply because it appears strong. We trust it because we know it was built with solid materials, tested repeatedly, and designed to carry tremendous weight. Self-confidence works exactly the same way. Every habit you honor adds another pillar. Every obstacle you overcome strengthens the structure. Every promise you keep lays another foundation, until one day you look back and realize you have become far stronger than you ever imagined. Yet there is a silent enemy constantly trying to interrupt that process. Comfort. Comfort rarely appears dangerous. It doesn't shout, it doesn't threaten, it doesn't force you, it simply whispers, "Start tomorrow." Missing one day won't matter. Rest a little longer. Little by little, those small compromises become a way of life. That is why discipline is not simply about doing difficult things. It is also about learning to say no to distractions, no to impulses, no to anything that offers immediate pleasure at the cost of your future. Every decision is a vote for the person you wish to become. When you choose to study instead of wasting hours without purpose, you strengthen your identity. When you choose to care for your health, you invest in a stronger version of yourself. When you keep your promises even when no one is watching, you prove that you are someone worthy of trust. And leadership always begins there. People do not simply follow your words, they follow your consistent actions. You may deliver the greatest speech ever given, but if your actions contradict your words, the truth will eventually reveal itself. Your example will always speak louder than your voice. That is why great leaders inspire even in silence, because the way they live communicates something far more powerful than any speech ever could. Over time, discipline becomes a language without words. Every action reveals who you are. Every decision reflects your priorities. Every habit tells the story of your character, and that story is constantly being read by those around you. Your children, your friends, your co-workers, your family. They learn far more from what you do than from what you say. Perhaps that is the greatest responsibility of a leader. Understand that you are always teaching, even when you never speak. At that point, the question is no longer whether others believe in you. The real question is much deeper. Can you trust yourself? Can you rely on yourself to keep your promises? Can you stay the course after enthusiasm fades? Because authentic leadership is never measured during the easy days. It reveals itself during the quiet moments when no one would ever know whether you continued or gave up. And it is precisely there that the next challenge appears. It is not a lack of talent. It is not a lack of opportunity. It is something far quieter, an enemy that lives within each of us, an enemy that, if left unrecognized, can destroy even the greatest dreams before they ever have the chance to begin. In the next chapter, we will confront that enemy: fear, excuses, self-sabotage, and you will discover why so many people are not defeated by the world around them, but by the conversations they have with themselves every single day. Chapter 3: The Invisible Enemy. The Battle Within. There is a battle that no one can see. It does not take place on a battlefield. It makes no sound. It leaves no visible scars. And yet, it is the most important battle any human being will ever fight. It takes place within the mind. Every morning before you make your very first decision, that battle has already begun. One voice reminds you of everything you are capable of becoming. The other insists that the time is not right. One speaks of growth. The other offers comfort. One urges you to move forward. The other tries to convince you to remain exactly where you are. The remarkable thing is that both voices belong to the same person, you. Many people believe the greatest obstacle to achieving their goals is a lack of money, opportunity, or connections. But in most cases, the real obstacle is much closer than that. It is hidden within the silent conversations we have with ourselves. Think back to the last time you wanted to begin something meaningful. Perhaps it was a new project, a business, a healthier lifestyle, or a dream that had been quietly waiting in the back of your mind. Do you remember the very first thought that appeared? It probably wasn't a strategy, it was a doubt. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if everyone else is right? It is astonishing how easily the human mind can create negative scenarios. Before we even begin, we imagine everything that could possibly go wrong. There is a reason for that. For thousands of years, the human brain evolved with one primary purpose: not to make us successful, but to keep us alive. Its first priority has always been protection. That is why it naturally distrusts the unfamiliar. Whenever you step outside your comfort zone, one part of your mind interprets that change as a threat. Not because it truly is dangerous, but because it is different. And the unknown always creates uncertainty. That is where one of leadership's greatest enemies is born. Fear. Not the fear that protects you from real danger, but the silent fear that creates problems before they even exist. The fear of rejection, the fear of embarrassment, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of disappointing others, and perhaps the most dangerous fear of all, the fear of discovering what you are truly capable of. Because growth can be frightening. Greater responsibility requires leaving comfort behind. It demands that you let go of the version of yourself you have always known. And that can feel deeply uncomfortable. Yet there is a tremendous difference between feeling fear and obeying it. Everyone experiences fear. Great leaders do too. The difference is that they have learned to listen to it without allowing it to make their decisions. Imagine a mountaineer standing before an enormous mountain. They know the climb will be difficult. They know there will be exhaustion, moments of doubt, even mistakes. But they also understand that remaining at the bottom will never allow them to witness the view from the summit. Life works exactly the same way. You cannot discover a new version of yourself while clinging to the place where you have always remained, and that is where another silent enemy appears. Excuses. Excuses are incredibly intelligent. They rarely sound like lies. Instead, they sound perfectly reasonable. I'm too busy today. I'll have more time next week. I'll start when I have more money. Now just isn't the right time. Each one seems logical. But when repeated for months or even years, they steal the one thing you can never recover: time. There is an enormous difference between facing a genuine obstacle and turning that obstacle into a permanent excuse. Great leaders acknowledge problems. They do not deny them. But neither do they allow those problems to define the rest of their lives. They understand that every day they have two choices: to search for reasons not to act, or to search for reasons to keep moving forward, and that single decision changes everything. Another enemy often appears the moment we begin making progress: comparison. We spend our lives watching other people's achievements. Social media shows successful businesses, beautiful vacations, awards, perfect bodies, remarkable accomplishments. What it almost never shows are the years of struggle that came before those achievements. Comparing your first step to someone else's 20th chapter is one of the fastest ways to lose motivation. Every journey unfolds at its own pace. Every story begins from a different place. Every person faces different challenges. That is why the only progress that truly matters is the progress you measure against yourself. Are you more disciplined today than you were a year ago? Have you learned something new? Do you respond to challenges with greater wisdom? If the answer is yes, then you are already moving forward, even if you cannot yet see how far you have come. There is another form of self-sabotage that many people rarely recognize. Words. The words we repeat every day eventually shape the way we behave. If you constantly tell yourself that you are disorganized, you will begin acting like a disorganized person. If you repeatedly say that you never finish what you start, your mind will eventually accept that belief as part of your identity. That is why great leaders choose their words carefully, not because they ignore reality, but because they understand that words become instructions for the mind. Instead of saying, "I'll never be able to do this," they learn to say, "I'm still learning." It may seem like a small change, but it completely transforms the direction of your thinking, because it leaves room for growth. And wherever growth remains possible, change remains possible as well. Here lies a truth that many people spend years trying to understand. You do not always win your greatest battles by defeating others. Most of the time, you win by defeating the version of yourself that wants to quit. Every time you choose to continue, every time you keep a promise, every time you act despite your fear, you strengthen the most important muscle of leadership, your character. Eventually, something extraordinary begins to happen. Challenges stop looking like obstacles. They begin to look like training, because you realize that every difficulty is developing a part of you that otherwise would have remained asleep. Great leaders are not born extraordinary. They become extraordinary because they choose to face the battles that others spend their lives avoiding. And that decision is made every single day, not once, every day, because the invisible enemy never completely disappears. It simply loses its power over your life. And when that happens, something remarkable takes place. You discover that the true strength of a leader is not found in controlling other people. It is found in mastering yourself. And when someone achieves that victory, they become capable of building something that will outlive them. That is what we will explore in our final chapter. Because the greatest leaders are not measured by the number of people who follow them, but by the legacy they leave behind through the example of their own lives. Chapter 4, The Legacy of a True Leader. The mark you leave on others. There is a question that very few people ever ask themselves, and yet, it has the power to completely change the way we live. How do you want to be remembered when you are no longer here? Most people would answer by talking about success, money, recognition, the achievements they hope to accomplish. But as time passes, we discover something remarkable. People rarely remember how much money someone earned. They rarely remember the size of their office, the model of their car, or the title they held for years. What remains is something far greater, the way they made others feel. The decisions they made when no one was watching. The principles they refused to compromise even when doing so came at a personal cost. And the example they left through the way they lived. That is the true legacy of a leader. For far too long, we have confused leadership with authority. We assume that leadership belongs to those with impressive titles, those who give orders, those who control others, those who make every important decision. History tells a very different story. The most influential people rarely forced others to follow them. They inspired them, and there is an enormous difference between those two things. Obedience disappears the moment authority is gone. Inspiration remains long after the leader has left the room. That is why a true leader never seeks to control people. Instead, they seek to develop people who are capable of thinking for themselves, because they understand that the purpose of leadership is not to create followers, it is to create more leaders. Think about the people who have had the greatest influence on your life. They were probably not the loudest voices in the room, nor were they the ones constantly speaking about their accomplishments. More likely, you remember someone who believed in you when you still doubted yourself, someone who taught through their example, someone who kept their promises, someone whose integrity remained unchanged even when no one was watching. That is because authentic leadership is communicated through actions long before it is expressed through words. Words can inspire for a moment, example inspires for a lifetime. We live in an age where appearances are easier to create than ever before. Social media shows us carefully selected moments, success, celebrations, achievements, perfectly polished victories. But character is never built in front of a camera. It is built in silence, in the decisions no one applauds, in the sacrifices no one notices, in the moments when you choose to do what is right, even though no one will ever congratulate you for it. Because character does not require an audience to exist, and that is precisely what makes it so valuable. There's a tremendous difference between becoming successful and becoming trustworthy. Success can arrive quickly. Trust takes years to earn, yet a single poor decision can destroy it. Great leaders understand this truth. That is why they protect their integrity, even when no one is watching, not because they fear being exposed, but because their principles are not determined by their audience. That kind of consistency carries extraordinary power. People trust those who behave the same way in private as they do in public, because they know exactly who they are. There is no guessing, no uncertainty. Consistency creates security, and security builds trust. Perhaps that is why the most respected leaders in history were not always the smartest. They were the ones whose lives matched their words, the ones who accepted responsibility for their mistakes, who admitted when they were wrong, who listened before speaking, who remained lifelong students, because they understood that leadership never means reaching a point where there is nothing left to learn. In fact, the greater the responsibility, the greater the need for humility. There is a simple saying that captures this idea perfectly. The moment you believe you have nothing left to learn is the moment you stop growing. Growth never truly ends. Every experience teaches something. Every mistake carries a lesson. Every failure offers wisdom that success alone could never provide. The difference lies in the attitude you choose. You can turn every hardship into an excuse, or you can turn it into training. You can allow a mistake to define your identity, or you can allow it to strengthen your character. The choice is always yours, and those choices ultimately shape the kind of leader you become. Some people spend their entire lives trying to prove that they are important. Others dedicate their lives to helping the people around them realize their own importance. Ironically, it is the second group that leaves the deepest mark, because leadership has never been about being admired. It has always been about helping others discover the greatness that already exists within them. That requires patience, the willingness to listen, empathy, and above all, humility. Not the kind of humility that thinks less of itself, but the kind that simply thinks of itself less often. It understands that every person is fighting battles you may never see. That one word of encouragement can change someone's entire day. That one act of kindness can restore hope to someone who was about to give up. Great leaders understand that small actions create lasting legacies. A piece of advice offered at exactly the right moment. An honest conversation. A chance given to someone everyone else overlooked. Sometimes a single decision changes the direction of another person's life, and the value of that can never truly be measured. You may never fully understand the reach of your influence. You may never know how many lives were changed because of an example that seemed insignificant to you. But leadership has always worked that way. Like a stone dropped into the still waters of a quiet lake, the ripples continue expanding long after the stone disappears beneath the surface. Our actions create the very same effect. Every decision inspires another. Every act of integrity strengthens a culture. Every positive example opens new possibilities. That is why authentic leadership always reaches beyond the present moment. It is never concerned only with immediate results. It thinks about what will remain long after today is gone. As this audiobook comes to an end, you may not remember every sentence you have heard, and that is perfectly natural. But I hope you remember one simple truth. Leadership never begins with a title. It has never depended on wealth. It has never been reserved for extraordinary people. It begins the day someone chooses to take responsibility for their own life, the day they stop searching for someone else to blame, and begin searching for solutions, the day they realize that character matters more than talent, that discipline outlasts motivation, that actions will always speak louder than words, and that true success is not measured by how far you go. It is measured by how many others are able to move forward because of your example. Because in the end, a leader is not measured by the number of people who follow them. A leader is measured by the number of people they inspire to become the very best version of themselves. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of this entire journey. The world does not need more people chasing power. It needs more people willing to live with integrity, responsibility, and purpose. Because when you learn to lead yourself, you discover that the change you were searching for in the world has always begun within you. And that is the greatest legacy any human being can leave behind.